In stolen goods news, the United States Congress has passed a law that will require online merchants to verify large volume sellers in order to try to deter stolen goods. So, one of the things we've seen, of course, in this country is increased retail theft, these smash and grab jobs. A lot of places and a lot of countries, and a lot of states at least, and a lot of localities are making it easier to steal things because they won't actually prosecute you, and the various stores are just having their stuff stolen all the time. Well, that stuff, of course, is valuable, and that stuff can be sold on various marketplaces to people. So, one of the things we'd like to do is try to make it a little bit harder for those people to sell online. So, we'd like to verify large volume sellers to make sure that their stuff is not fake or stolen. So that's the idea, at least. Let's cramp down on the major arteries of the stolen commerce, and maybe that will help. Not sure how much it will help, but at least we're trying to do something. Let's take another look at this. Online shopping scams are often built around pitching bargains to unknown consumers who think they're getting a real deal, but end up losing good money on fake or stolen merchandise. But the Inform Act, because Congress loves its acronyms, went into effect on June the 27th, which requires online marketplaces such as eBay to verify key information from high-volume third-party sellers. These sellers would have to have 200 or more separate sales or transactions of new or unused products and $5,000 or more in gross revenue during any consecutive 12-month period in the past 24 months. We got a rolling 12-month clock, right? So anytime you have continuous 12 months of 200 or more separate sales and $5,000 or more in gross revenue, you have to register for this thing. So presumably that would try to target the biggest merchants. The Inform Act stands for Integrity, Notification, and Fairness in Online Retail Marketplaces for Consumers Act. Because again, Congress loves its acronyms. It has to stand for something. Retailers and others lobby Congress to tackle the spike in online retail theft, which involves selling stolen goods online at deep discounts. Going forward, these online marketplaces, Amazon, eBay, other places where people sell stuff en masse, must gather more information about who exactly is selling online. As a result, slow down online sales of stolen high-end sneakers, counterfeit handbags, and other phony goods. Now, one will take note here that presumably you might be able to get around this by just creating more and more accounts, but perhaps there's ways to deal with that issue as well. So we'll do that. And also trying to circumvent the law is probably illegal in of itself. So there's some basis to be able to prosecute them if you try that. Online marketplaces covered under the law, according to FTC, must suspend high-volume third-party sellers that don't provide the required information and must offer a clear way for consumers to report suspicious conduct. The goal, according to the FTC, is to require that lead to less fraud online as marketplaces take more proactive steps to verify only legitimate sellers are operating on the platforms. Online marketplaces could need to spend more money on controls, but in the long run, you'd think such action should boost business if consumers know they're not being played as some sort of crime ring. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure consumers necessarily care. They just see, ooh, cheap price, and don't necessarily think about whether it's stolen or not because, why would you? You just think this came from somewhere. You don't necessarily think about where it's coming from. You're a bona fide purchaser for value. So I don't know if it will boost confidence in the market or not, but maybe. Consumer watchdogs warn that some items, such as risky toys and unsafe cosmetics, are sold by unscrupulous vendors. Last year, the FTC received 360,000 complaints relating to online shopping, and 43% of those complaints involved losing money. The total loss reported was $359 million, with the average loss of $180. Online shopping fraud ranks number 2 for complaints to the FTC, behind imposter scams. The FTC also notes that military consumers filed about 12,000 online shopping complaints, with 73% of those reports involving financial loss. The loss for each military consumer was about $25 million, with an average loss of about $190. The consumer watchdogs of the PIRG Education Fund said the new law will help to cut into shady sales, particularly by making it tougher for thieves to sell the merchandise online. So, the whole thing is about trying to reduce the market and trying to constrain the market. So these people are doing smash and grab jobs. They're just stealing stuff from the makeup counters of CVS's and Walgreens or whatever, and stealing these things. And so the idea here is that we're going to try to prohibit them from just selling on eBay, just selling on Amazon. And now they'll have to find other sources to sell. So we're taking away their huge channels. This does not necessarily eliminate all channels, of course, but it eliminates maybe more of the easy ones that just, do a drop ship. And now we actually have to, I don't know, go to flea markets or something and sell them at flea markets to buyers there. But of course, that might be able to be policed by local police who will be able to observe that. So, and be in a place where, oh, look at all this makeup this one person has. I wonder why. So perhaps getting into channels of commerce that might be easier to track by local authorities. Some online marketplaces, such as eBay, say they support the passage of the new regulations. The national standard can protect consumers from bad actors who seek to misuse online marketplaces while ensuring important protections for sellers. Amazon stated on its blog that it began contacting sellers who were covered by this new law several months ago to help them to comply. We've been communicating regularly with instructions and resources and have a large group dedicated to calling sellers to walk them through the verification process. The FTC sent letters to 50 online marketplaces nationwide, notifying them of their obligation to comply with the new law. Violations could result in civil penalties of $50,000 per violation. And in this world of scams, the FTC letter suggests that online marketplaces warn sellers they need to avoid potential imposters attempting to trick them into sensitive personal or account information. So yeah, this is going to impact eBay and Amazon and lots of other online marketplaces to try to reduce some of the traffic relating to some of the scam. The federal law also gives enforcement authority to state-level attorneys general and other officials authorized by the state. So even though this is a federal law, the federal government's like, hey, states, if you want to enforce our law for us, that's cool. Now, of course, you don't have to because anti-commandeering doctrine, we can't make you. But, if you want another tool to, bust these people, here's a federal law you can throw at them. So you can charge them for violations of our federal law. It's cool with us if you want to do that thing. So that's cool. Thus, that brings us to the end of the story dealing with this new federal law, which attempts to curb theft and theft rings to some degree by controlling how they can sell it. This will influence eBay, Amazon, and other online marketplaces and is intended to target only the largest sellers who do the most volume. So not people who are just doing piecemeal little stuff, but people who are doing high volume trades. So these people need to register and verify themselves and verify the origins of their goods and let the government know who they are. So in the event that things go bad, we know where to whack them. And the idea, at least in part, is to prevent people from having a desire to sell this online, so that they'll have to look for other ways to sell their stolen goods. And perhaps it will even diminish the desire to steal goods because it will be too hard to sell and too hard to fence. So we don't want to make it too easy to get rid of these goods. And to the extent that they're going to start trying to fence them in the real world, of course, we have the ability to observe that. Cops go to flea markets too. So if they see someone just selling a lot of beauty stuff, they might wonder, who is this person and where do they get this beauty stuff from, right? For example, where did all this stuff come from? So it might raise a suspicion in a police officer's mind, which might lead to further investigation. So trying to deal with some of this stuff in sort of the way that the consumer fraud things and protect consumer to make sure that they're not getting a legitimate product. And at least for a moment, that brings us end discussion of this story.